Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jared Powley's Fragrance Reviews. Tonight we're going to be examining a fragrance from the year of 1997. This fragrance is known as Victorinox Swiss Army for Men, which is an EDT eau de toilette concentration. This is a woody aromatic fragrance. This is the most recent formulation of a fragrance that is over 27 years old. This formulation is decent, it's solid, but it's not spectacular by any means. It's a conservative fragrance. The one thing I would say about this fragrance, and this is a classical error people make when they're judging a fragrance. They smell their skin, put their nose right into the skin, and say, I don't like the way this fragrance smells. This is how it smells. When people smell your fragrance, they're going to be smelling the scent bubble and the wafts. They're not going to be smelling your skin. And the scent wafts and the scent bubble of this fragrance is very different from what you're going to be getting off your skin. And this is an error people make. Remember, people are not going to have their nose to your skin. This fragrance was very popular in the late 90s. The big difference was back then it had much more depth, much more body, and it was more powerful. Now it has been somewhat watered down, but the original DNA from 1997 is there. So I'm going to take this out of the bottle and give it a spray in the back of my wrist. There's also I think a red version of this fragrance as well. So here's the bottle. Nice heavy metal, good quality. It's kind of got a 3/4 sprayer. Decent sprayer. So initially I get a minty citrus, which is slightly sour, but it's fresh. So it's a fine opening. It's a pleasant opening. As it starts to dry down, settle down about 15-20 minutes later, it becomes somewhat sweeter and it takes on barbershop nuances. So there is a shift. And the shift also happens in from the minty notes, it becomes more herbal. And there's some floral vibes from the geranium. Later on, it becomes animalic. It has a bit of that pissy note to it that the fragrances of the 70s, 80s, and 90s have. It's soapier now, it's muskier, and it has earthy greenness. There's still the herbal element that is slightly minty. So I would say this is somewhat of a complex fragrance. The one thing about this scent that may throw off some of the young guys is modern fragrances are mostly the mainstream ones have a synthetic smell to them. So they don't have that animalic note, which is slightly in this fragrance or any of the fragrances from the 80s and 90s. And a lot of the young guys don't like that smell. I personally do. I'm almost 46 years old, so I can appreciate that note. And believe it or not, even though it doesn't necessarily smell the greatest, the ladies like it. It's an animalic note. You have to remember that. There's something that excites the women about the animalic note. As advertised, the top notes in this fragrance are mint, various green notes, bergamot, yuzu, and ginger. The mid notes are lavender, rosemary, violet leaf, edelweiss, and geranium. And the base notes are cypress, balsam fir, cedar, musk, and amber. Performance of this is decent, average 3 to 4 hours, moderate scent wafts and bubbles. So you're going to have to reapply. It plays very nicely off the clothes, and when you spray it on the clothes, it definitely adds to the longevity. But I would not overspray. Overspraying on this one, I do not think helps. You're better off to reapply every few hours. Don't think that if you spray it 30 times in the morning, it's going to last you. It's just going to be too much. It's going to saturate your skin and you kind of lose the effect. And this, again, when the application is key, you cannot just madly apply. You have to learn how to apply the fragrance to your skin. There's techniques. It takes some experimentation. So always remember that you have to figure out how to wear some fragrances, where you should spray them, how much, when, etc. Overall, this is a fragrance that I personally like. I think it's a good scent, one that I think a lot of gentlemen would like to just wear for themselves. Maybe when they go for a hike, maybe when they go for a walk. This is definitely has this camping, a woody, a ruggedness that I like. And I think this could be a great fragrance for an outdoorsman. And maybe he's just with his wife and kids. And it is sexy in a ruggedly manly way, but it's not something you would wear to the clubs. I wouldn't even say you wear it to the office. This is more where you're going out into the woods for a fall day, go for a hike, that sort of thing. This is relatively inexpensive, but you always want to try before you buy. For me, I give this a thumbs up. I know a lot of people are split on this fragrance, and I think the split lies in the fact of the modern synthetic lovers versus the older vintage kind of animalic lovers. I think there's a definite divide, and this is where I think this fragrance kind of falls more on the traditional classical type of fragrance. So if you like this video, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Any comments or questions you have, leave them down below and I'll always get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.